Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Slipstream Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Wharton, and I'm joined by my co-host, Hannah Brooks. Hannah, how are you today?
Morning, as always. I'm great. That's
I'm
just the
glad to
standard
hear
line.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the energy. We're picking it up. We're making sure the energy is high today. And I'm delighted to announce that we have got an absolutely incredible special guest on with us today, Riley Phillips. Riley, how are you?
I'm feeling great today. It's been a nice early start for me, so feeling good.
Fantastic. Now, Riley, you're a racing driver through and through. Very successful one, which I'm sure you'll explain to us very, very shortly. But before we start, tell us who Riley Phillips is.
So I'm a racing driver in the UK, obviously, and what I've done is I've come all the way through karts, and I've moved into cars, and I'm now racing in a championship called the Fun Cup UK Series.
Fantastic. And you were in the Fun Cup last year as well, weren't you?
Yeah, this will be my fifth year in Fun Cup now. So I've been doing it for quite a while, and I am very knowledgeable about it, and tend to be near the front. Last year we won the championships, so hopefully I can repeat that this year.
Many congratulations. That's fantastic news. And I know, obviously, I know you, Riley, from sim racing as well. I know you're incredibly quick on a simulator. So you're both a sim racer, karter, and racing driver. But tell us a little bit before that. You know, how you started out life, how you got into motorsport, and your career to date, as it were.
So I suppose the easiest way to say is, yeah, I have the best of both worlds. You know, I have sim racing and then real racing on the side as well. But it was sim racing which I picked up first, technically. There's a great photo of me about 3 years old, standing up doing the pedals that are on the floor and the steering wheel that's mounted on the desk in front of me. And that's one that my dad always talks about. Going, yeah, he's been doing it for ages, and he wants to do it because he was there, kind of, yeah, just driving that simulator all day, every day from such a young age. So it was originally my dad's setup, and I kind of took over it, as children do in your life, and yeah, I just been sim racing since then. I've really enjoyed it. I've gotten back into that big recently, but that's another thing. So after sim racing, at a young age, I went around as a young child. My parents were trying to take me to different hobbies to try find something else that I might enjoy in the real world kind of thing. So I tried all sorts of things. I tried horse riding, I tried canoeing, I tried football, I tried cricket. There was many things that I was trying to do to fit in at school, if you like. Because I was always a little bit on my own, and I needed some friends for that kind of thing. So what the idea was find a hobby, something I'm good at, and put a smile on my face, basically. And yeah, we tried so many things over the years, and they were all okay, they were all enjoyable, but nothing put a smile on my face quite like motorsport did. So I think we ended up going karting at Thruxton for my 8th birthday, and yeah, I don't think they'd seen me grin so hard in quite a long time. So my parents were both relieved that I'd found something that I could enjoy, and that I was actually good at. A lot of the kids there were much older than I was. They were 12, 13, 14 years old, and I was 8 years old and just zipping around them. And there was many sessions that I did at that kart track, and ended up getting my karting race license there as well, actually. So that was kind of the first step of my motorsport career, if you like.
Amazing. Where's your favourite place to drive, out of curiosity?
Favorite place to drive? I assume we're talking racetracks.
Yeah.
Here, racetracks.
It's not going to be the M25, is it, Riley? Let's be honest.
No, let's be honest, it's not. For karting, the best kart track that I ever raced on was probably Wilson Mill. It's technical, it's difficult to overtake on, but there is a lot of overtaking opportunities. and the grids there were always huge. There was always 30 car plus grids that you'd have to battle your way through to the front, and it was my favorite track. I raced on many other of the large UK circuits, so PFI. I raced on Forest Edge, Clay Pigeon, Dunk as well. I did all of those over my years as a karter. Only at club level, I wasn't a national karter, but I was certainly up there and could stick with the national boys at Wilton Mill. So that was definitely my favorite track for karting.
That's really cool. So I have to pick you up on this because I asked you for a photo
to
advertise this podcast, and you sent me a picture and you said there's a story behind it.
Yes.
So I will add the picture into this footage, but can you explain the story behind that picture?
So the story behind the picture that I've sent is it's probably my favorite story throughout my whole career. And what it is me after I've won the impossible race. Is what it is. The reason it's impossible was we were. I'll have to explain a fair bit to get around to this. Fun Cup is an endurance-based series, so we do driver swaps and pit stops and all of that stuff, and it's a 4 hours total race normally. And this was Donington in September-ish last year, something like that. It was the penultimate round, and we'd had a string of okay results in the middle of the year, but we also had a few DNFs which were hampering us. So we had to have a good result, and every point matters in Fun Cup, as it did come down to the wire. But Donington, we were 25-30 seconds off the lead going into the final pit stop. And the Fun Cup team that I'm in, Olympian Homes, we have very, very, very fast pit stops. We're one of the best teams at it. And we knew we could close the gap a little bit, but it was going to be down to me to kind of put on the pace and work my way up to them, up to the leaders. We were running P2. It was just the leaders in front of us. We came into the pits. We had a super rapid driver change, and I think we probably pulled 4 or 5 seconds on them in the pits there alone. Which, when you're racing on track and you might only be gaining a tenth or two per lap, that's a large amount of time to be gaining. So pit stops were super important. We've always done loads of pit stop practice for that. So we come out and the gap's probably 20 seconds with about, I reckon it was about half an hour to go, maybe 25 minutes by the time the pit stop window had cleared itself up. And the leaders weren't, they weren't slow boys. They were second in the championship at the time, and both of their drivers are incredibly experienced at racing and in Fun Cup as well. So yeah, I had to figure out a way to put the hammer down, if you like, and get to it. And it was so impossible that I didn't believe that I could catch them. I was speaking on the radio to the mechanic on the pit wall, James, fantastic guy, helped us many times throughout the year. But I think the most help that he gave me this time, I said, James, or Jim as what we call him, Jim, can we catch the car in front? And he said, keep pushing. He didn't tell me yes or no, but he just said keep pushing. And that kind of cleared the doubt in my mind that maybe there's a chance that I can catch the UVO car in front. That was the name of their team. And I set fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap through the traffic, gaining on them. And we're down to around, I think, 10 minutes left, and I can see them at the end of the straight now. Because before, they're 20 seconds away. So when you come down the Carina curves at Donington, I could see them exiting the old hairpin at the bottom and running away that way. So I was like, okay, I have a vision on them now. I should start reeling them in a little bit quicker. And I did, basically. We carried on pushing, and I kept asking, will I catch him? Do you know, as the time gets closer and closer to the end. and he just said, keep pushing, there is a chance. And with about 3 laps to the end, I caught up to the back of them, and we had probably the most almighty fight I've ever had in my racing history. And we were side by side for a good 2 or 3 laps. And yeah, towards the end, they ended up having some sort of electrical issue with the car, so we ended up losing that fight to me, and I pulled away to finish out in the lead for that race. So that was probably the most impossible win I've ever had, catching 30 odd seconds over a stint on someone who's like as quick as I am normally. It just felt unreal to me.
That is insane. So in the picture, there's someone behind you. Is that him?
Yes, that is him. Yeah.
That's why it's even better.
And Fun Cup is actually a great environment. Normally racing series, everyone hides away in their own garages, and it's all a bit kind of secretive. But in Fun Cup, we all get out the car, we all give each other a hug, and we all go for a beer in the tent afterwards. Like it's very relaxed, and it is a family, like they say it is. So it's definitely my favorite experience of racing so far. Is just being in Fun Cup and along with everyone else.
You mentioned, obviously loneliness was a thing when you were growing up, and obviously you found motorsport, which I think the majority of people out there will think is a single person sport. Obviously, that story that you've just told us clearly shows that it's not. It's very much a team sport, and actually that teamwork can be a massive part of that. But tell us what it's like to be that racing driver sitting there racing the car. Obviously, everyone's relying on you as such. But tell people, I imagine most people will think, actually, this is just a lonely place. But tell people how you actually feel when you're racing.
When I'm racing, like I say, it is a team sport. You have the whole team around you. You have the mechanic, the people who help in the pit stop. You have the other races on track as well, which you can chat about afterwards with the racing experiences that you have. When I'm out there on track, I'm not thinking about any of that particularly. I try to not empty my mind, but there'll be periods where I'm super mega focused, and the odd thought about just kind of normal things, I can just relax and think about those rather than the racing, which is a little bit weird. But I suppose it comes down to being able to sort of use my unconscious to do the driving. So I have more time, more space in my head to think about, where I'm going to catch the driver to overtake them, whether we should change any strategies with the pit stops, and then just general enough mental capacity to calm myself down, relax, and nail the lines every single lap. So while I'm racing, I don't think of too much normally, but at the same time, I think of stuff which people might not think of, like on the journey back home, or what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, or something like that. It's very weird, but I don't necessarily think of racing while I'm racing.
That's really interesting, actually. We were actually having this conversation recently. We were talking about another podcast guest. We were talking about F1 and how they're driving 200 miles an hour, thinking about when they're going to overtake someone and all this kind of stuff. And actually, you've kind of just said it in a way that you're kind of like, well, actually, I don't really think about racing when I'm racing. You kind of get into a meditative state in a sense that you're just like relaxed, you're calm, your mind is clear. You kind of just let your training take over, and just like, I know the lines I'm going to take because I know it. Like, I don't need to think about that necessarily. What I need to think about is actually completely opposite to what most people think. But do you practice things like meditation when you're not driving, and let your training take over, or is it just something that you've just always done when you're in the car?
I don't train my meditation when I'm away from the car as such, but whenever I am about to step into a car, I'll always take 5 to 10 minutes to put my helmet on early and just kind of sit in silence and visualize, the track layout, the car that I'm going to drive, and then anything that I feel like I'm not sure about. Maybe the track is damp and there's a particular corner I'm worried about. So I'll think about that corner and all the different ways that I can kind of get around it. So I suppose that is a sort of meditation, but it's not something that I'm actively practicing kind of outside of at the racetrack, if you like.
I think so. That's kind of like in the helmet with you. Externally, when you're not racing, this is going away from this a little bit, but externally, when you're not racing, you've got a lot of pressure regarding things that we've spoken about with other people, finances, right?
Yes.
Because that is a big pressure for a lot of drivers of whatever age, like karting to the seniors. It's a pressure, right? So from your perspective, like, what could be improved? What do racing drivers offer to potential sponsors, in your words?
The racing driver's job is to create stories to a sponsor, right? They create a story which the sponsors can talk about and get their name out there, saying, "Oh, we have this fantastic race driver that we work with. This is the stuff that he does, and he creates these things." The second job is to make sure that you can offer not just the stories, but other interesting things to them, whether it be experiences, so getting them to the track and showing them trackside how it all works, or getting them into other experiences like factory tours, or maybe you take them out in the car for a track day kind of thing. Stuff like that can also be of value to companies that want something a little bit different. They want to know what it's all about, and that's kind of, you have to tell the story in a certain way of who you are, and then they get value from that.
It's really interesting, and I think that's Hannah and I have a lot of discussions on sponsorships and partnerships, and we talk about storytelling. And this is one of our things, is why we're doing this podcast, is helping drivers tell their story, and especially that story behind the story, because every driver's quick. Every driver can offer certain things. Influencer marketing is one thing I talk about. Every driver seems to be an influencer. Every driver can offer those same those same things in different spaces. But my thing is like, what makes you different from every other racing driver out there? What is unique about you? Like, and it's going to be your story. And that's the thing, is like, my question now then is, what is different with you, Riley?
So for me, we always knew that we would never be able to compete against the people that did have budget to race, and were as quick as me, because there would be no difference. There would be no reason why people would look at me instead. So one of the first things that we kind of looked at in car racing was where are all the young people going, and where can we go which not avoids them, but where I would kind of be the one on my own there which stands out, if you like. So we looked at series like Junior Ginettas, Junior Saloon Cars. I think Junior Clios was running at that point as well. So we looked at all of these, and all it was a bunch of young kids like me, some who had money, some who didn't, but there would be no difference at the end of the day. So what we looked at was, how do we get enough seat time to make sure that I improve well and have enough time to learn things, and where would I stand out? And that happened to be Fun Cup. So I've been racing in Fun Cup since I was 16. As soon as I could get the senior ARDS license, which is your car race license. So I've been doing that for 5 years now. But originally it was because I wanted more seat time, and enough time to learn all the aspects of racing, team building, and racecraft, experience on the tracks, that sort of thing. So yeah, that was what we looked at to differentiate myself from other people, and it worked. I ended up going with a gentleman driver, and he'd hired a pro driver to help within the team. So the second year that I did Fun Cup, I joined them. Well, yeah, second year we'll call it. And I learned so much from that pro driver that I've now kind of continued on throughout kind of my career in racing. So yeah, he's helped me a lot in the learning aspect. And then as far as making myself different from other drivers outside of racing, I went and did a motorsport engineering degree. And yeah, it's just another thing to add to the list of, here's what I can do. I'm not just a guy who's quick and has money or doesn't,
I mean, the thing is for me is I love hearing those stories, and the fact is that you're thinking differently to everyone else. You see so many people who go down the lines of, I've got to go genetic juniors and I want to progress on to endurance racing, whether that be the British GT Championship and then push on to WEC or go on to Le Mans, or go down the other route and go single seaters, and F1's the overall goal. And you hear that so often, but to then for someone, especially of your age, at the age of say 16, 15, 16, and making a decision into your career, to then go, actually, right, where are we going to stand out? Where are we going to be different? And what are we going to do? I think for me personally, if I was a business owner looking to invest into a driver, I want to invest in someone who is going to think differently, who thinks outside the box and is going to help push those boundaries. I think it's a really important trait to have, and it's great to show people that way of thinking. And I'm sure Hannah will think exactly the same. She's a business owner herself. She has in many different aspects in the areas, but Hannah, I'm sure you're in a complete agreement of think outside the box, think differently, and go against the norm.
I mean, it's hard not to in motorsport at the minute, isn't it? Everything's up in the air. I think there's something in the air at the minute with motorsport that feels like everything's about to suddenly change. And I feel like if you can ride that and be ahead of that curve, you're already onto a winner. So by the sounds of it, Riley, you've got that vision and entrepreneurial spirit in you to kind of think about yourself as something that people want to invest in your future. And yeah, I think from a business owner's perspective, it's refreshing to see that, and it's really nice. And I think any business would be lucky to partner with you, to be honest, because yeah, it's good, it's great to see. Yeah. And more of that. I think more of that.
Yeah, there is people that have made it work that I raced with around my time. So when I was karting, one of my teammates, we were in the same team and same classes of karts, was Harry King, who's now gone on to become Porsche junior driver and then racing with Porsche all their endurance events, as well as doing the Super Cup in various countries. So he's an incredibly successful driver now, and it's impressive to see how he's done that. Obviously he picked up a sponsor early on in his career, and they've continued on with him, which is very good for him. But the one fact which I will say is that I did beat him in the karting championship that we were in. So it does show that things vary, and maybe it's luck, maybe it's something which I've done slightly differently. But I'm sure we'll meet again on the racetrack somewhere, since we're both heading towards the kind of endurance direction, it seems. But Harry's a great guy now, and I can really respect him for going as far as he has done already.
That's brilliant to hear. That's brilliant to hear. And one of the things obviously we'll do for you, Riley, is in the description we'll put your links to your social media, and so people can contact you. But just tell the listeners, where is the best place to reach out and connect with you?
The best places would be either on Facebook, it's Riley Phillips Racing, or RP-Racing. And then LinkedIn is a great place. I'm super active on there. And then, yeah, I'm sure on my website as well, rp-racing.co.uk, there is a contact form, I believe, and various emails and phone numbers that you can use to get in touch with me. And I'll happily, offer my services for anything you might need.
No, perfect. And one thing that we always finish with a simple question. It's our favourite thing now is trying to find out what a little bit about people and their backgrounds. But the question we've got for you is, if you could meet one person, whether they're alive or dead, and spend an hour with them, having a chat with them, who would it be and why?
Who would it be and why? And that is a tricky question. And the value of 1 hour with someone that could, potentially change everything, the way your mindset is, and how you're thinking about it. It could be anything. And I think the one thing that I would need right now would be some sort of coach to give inspiration, to give power and drive to keep going. So I would probably say someone like Lando Norris. So I'm gonna go with him. And I say that because Lando, obviously he's incredibly successful throughout his career up to Formula One. But he was constantly out doing races every single weekend. I don't think he had a weekend off for many years during his kind of middle career of building up to Formula One. And he was constantly working hard at it. So, I think he's a great example of what I should kind of be thinking about and pushing towards. His brother was also a racing driver for a while, but he didn't have quite as much drive as Lando did, I think, and that's why Lando's gotten further than him. So I think an hour with Lando, talking about inspiration and why he might, why he's carried on as far as he has done, how he prepares for stuff, I think that would be valuable to me.
No, amazing. Well, Lando, if you listen to this podcast, when you listen to this podcast, Lando, reach out to Riley because he would love to chat with you, and that'd be amazing if we can try and make that happen. So, no, amazing, Riley. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and obviously hearing about your journey and especially your mindset. I love how you get into that meditative state as soon as you put your helmet on. That really sort of hit me. I absolutely love that. So thank you so much for your time. Hannah, thank you so much as well for everything that you do for the Slipstream Entrepreneurs podcast. I love every time we hit that record button. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm so grateful for you. But guys, thank you for listening. Please feel free to subscribe and share this podcast. It'd be really useful for us. And obviously if we can help give more value to people out there, especially racing drivers or entrepreneurs, and partner people together, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But guys, thank you very much. Take care and look after yourselves.